Hey guys, welcome back. Sports with Mono and Mono. It's 5/28/19, and I am solo, as we say in the business. Steve is on assignment this week, but he'll be back with us on our next show. So let's start off with, first of all, our first segment is brought to you by Coriano Trucking Incorporated. Been a loyal sponsor with us for few weeks now, and we're happy to have him. So a couple of things I wanted to bring up first I want to talk about the NFL because as we always talk about when there's a notable passing, especially somebody who's been a exemplary player both on and off the field. Bart Starr passed away this week at 85 years old, and he was just classy inside and out, and he had quite a record when he came out of Alabama, and he went to the Packers and um, won 5 titles, including the first 2 Super Bowls. So he was a really a class act, and he's had a tough run in the past couple of years, and he finally succumbed to that. And but it's certainly worth mentioning because he really was, just a great person both on and off the field, and we'd be remiss if we didn't certainly mention that Bart Starr passed away. Um, Not a lot of other things going on other than Le'Veon Bell didn't show up to the OTAs again, which to me is just unbelievable, especially after the money they gave him and so forth. And like we talked about on our last show, the Jets are the Jets, and they seem to be in chaos. And for some reason, this guy decided not to show up, which to me is a little concerning if I was a Jets fan. So, but they call them optional because I guess that's what If you want to come, you can come. If you don't, then. But you know what? When you're a free agent, you're coming to a new team, and you want the fans to embrace you. I think it was the right chance for him to show up and be part of this new team that they're trying to build. And even though I don't think Adam Gase is the right guy for the job, but so we'll move on. We'll move on to the NBA. And this part is sponsored by De Filippi's Bakery from Monticello, New York. Loyal sponsor with us for a while now, and we thank them. And we got a finals coming up. It's the Warriors, and I must say I'm surprised because I actually thought it was going to be the Bucks, but it turns out it's the Raptors. I still don't know whether or not they have the firepower to knock off the Warriors. But then again, I don't think anybody thought they had the star power to knock off the Bucks and Giannis, who I think is one of the better players in the league. But again, and we've spoken about this before, this guy really has stepped up to a point where, he's one of the top 3 players in the league. That's Kawhi Leonard, and I really couldn't be more impressed with how he's taken on this leadership role and taken Toronto to their first finals ever. Like I said, they got their work cut out for them. It starts on Thursday. I still like the Warriors to win this, probably in 5, possibly in 6. Because even though Kevin Durant is not going to be playing, certainly he's not playing in Game 1, we know that. But I think Steph Curry and his supporting cast is just too tough. They got too much star power on that team to let this one slip away. But that doesn't diminish the accomplishments of Toronto. I think it's been a great run, and really the way that Kawhi Leonard has taken that franchise. And you know what? I mean, I know he's going to be a free agent after the end of the year. I think he's going to take the position that he's got some unfinished business if they don't win this championship. And I think there's a pretty good chance he might stay in Toronto. They really embraced him up there, and he's been just classy the whole way. Doesn't Very humble guy for somebody who's that kind of dominating player in this league. So it should be a good series. It takes. I'm so surprised though that it's they got all this time off and so forth, and they just drag out the NBA. I mean, for a long time, but Warriors Raptors final should be pretty entertaining. Like I said, I still think Warriors at best will absolutely take this in six, but we'll see because like I said, nobody saw the Raptors beating the Bucks. I sure didn't. So we'll see how that goes. So let's I just wanted a quick move on to baseball, and this segment is brought to you by Lynch Toyota of Manchester, Connecticut. Of course, a loyal sponsor with us since day one, and we certainly thank the president, Mike Lynch, and his organization for supporting us. So moving on to a notable passing, and this is something that kind of really hit home because it was Bill Buckner passed away at age 69 this week. And when we talk about guys that really, I think, got a bum rap, I mean, I know he's known, I guess, outside of, unless you're a baseball fan, he's known for letting the ball go through his legs and in the World Series in '86 against the Mets, and certainly was unfortunate, and he really just took the wrath from Boston fans, and that actually became his legacy instead of his baseball career, which was notable, was the only person that had more hits in the 70s and 80s than Bill Buckner was Pete Rose. And I mean, I know Bill Buckner hung on for kind of way too long. His last 7 years really weren't that productive, but 2,700 hits over a 22-year career, pretty good. He won a batting title, and ultimately the Boston fans did come to their senses and finally welcome him back into the Boston family and realize that, as unfortunate as the play was, they had their opportunities to win that series anyway, and it really wasn't Bill Buckner, and I'm happy that they finally came to their senses and brought him back into the good graces which he deserved. He was a class act, and certainly worth noting that he passed away, but he really was just a quality individual, and that's very sad to hear of his passing. A couple other things. The Yankees, wow, they just keep on rolling with a bunch of guys that they just didn't expect to have happen. This Gio Urshela has really stepped up, and Clint Frazier, to my surprise actually, that he came up. He's come up big. Really amazing, that doing all this without Judge and without Stanton and Severino and all this, they're still in first place, and it's amazing to see. The Mets, after a dismal showing against the Marlins a week ago, seemed to have turned it around. I know Steve kind of feels that Mickey Callaway is on his way out, and I kind of thought maybe he wasn't, but they've turned it around. They had a good couple of series here, and I still don't think they're going anywhere, but I mean, it was nice to see. I think it was vindication that I don't think Mickey Callaway deserved all of the credit for the sweep against the Marlins, but the Mets will hang in there. They'll be there, but they're not going to go much further. I still don't think they're going to make the playoff. One other note in Major League Baseball. It's kind of funny because we hear some names that for our longtime baseball fans certainly know the grandfather, Carl Yastrzemski, whose grandson now plays for the Giants, and also Craig Biggio just recently got into the Hall of Fame a year ago. His son now plays for the Toronto Blue Jays and hit his first Major League home run. So it's kind of funny to see. I guess it's indicative of how old we're getting, but when you got names like Biggio and Yastrzemski starting to play Major League Baseball. It really does bring back some memories of watching, Craig Biggio, and certainly Yaz was, great ball player for Boston for many, many years. Icon in Boston. And as much as, a Yankee fan doesn't like the Boston Red Sox, we certainly always admired Carl Yastrzemski, and now he's got his grandson playing, so I'm sure that's making him quite happy. So let's move on to the NHL. Game one was last night, the Boston Bruins and the St. Louis Blues. Should be a really good series. I'm sticking with my original thought that, I see the Boston Bruins as being the eventual Stanley Cup winners. I think the run for St. Louis has been awesome to watch, and they've had some good comebacks. And as Steve brought up last week, a local kid scored the winning goal to send them to the Stanley Cup Finals. The first time, and Steve was right, he brought it up last time, that the last time the Blues were in the Stanley Cup Finals was 1970, and that was the famous Bobby Orr scoring the goal and flying through the air, one of the most iconic pictures in NHL history. So game one, and the Bruins were down 2-0, and they rallied back and ultimately won the game 4-2. They got a lot of firepower on that team. And the goaltending, I think, is Tuukka Rask is playing Stanley Cup goaltending golf. It's great to watch. So it should be a fun series. I don't see St. Louis getting swept, but I can see this ending in 5 games. But it should also, like I said, it's been a great run. Great for a lot of people who weren't really NHL fans and so forth. It should be fun to have seen, and it's been a good run. And we'll keep an eye on the Blues Bruins final and see how that turns out. Moving on to the Indianapolis 500, something we rarely don't touch on IndyCar racing and so forth, but that's kind of an American icon staple in car racing and so forth, and it was won by Simon Pagenaud, Frenchman. First time a Frenchman has won this Indy 500 since 1914, so that tells you what kind of run it's been for the French in the Indy 500, and it turned out to be a great race. It was one of the closest Indy finals, Indy finishes in the history of it. So it was pretty exciting. I mean, it's kind of a staple for Memorial Day and so forth, and Memorial Day weekend. It was great to watch. It was a good finish. Really was exciting finish, and we'll send it out. It's a lot of, what I did notice though, there's a lot of the names that were in there. I mean, we saw there was a Marco Andretti. I guess that might be Mario's grandson, and there was a Graham Rahal. I'm sure that's Bobby Rahal's son or grandson. I'm not sure. But like I said, we don't touch on that, but that's kind of an American icon on a Memorial Day weekend, and it was really an exciting race, and wanted to bring that up and say congratulations to the Frenchman for certainly for winning that. So listen, it's an abbreviated show because my partner's not here. My better half will be back with us next week. I wanted to say thank you again to all of our veterans and so forth, because it was Memorial Day weekend, and we certainly know what that's all about, and it was real special. I went to the Intrepid Air and Space Museum in New York City, and I had an opportunity to see the military might that this country possesses, and a lot of the people that have given the sacrifice, and it really was just a patriotic and exciting place to be on Memorial Day weekend. And so if you've never been to Fleet Week and so forth, do it because it really is. And Had an opportunity to go to a Memorial Day service in Ramsey, New Jersey yesterday, and meet a couple of former World War II guys and Korean War veterans, and it was exciting. And it really is just heart wrenching to hear some of the stories, but you can never ever say thank you enough to the people that gave the ultimate sacrifice and to the people that are currently in our military today. So thank you all out there. So listen, we will be back with a full show next week. I just wanted to make sure that we checked in with you this week, and looking forward to having Steve back with us. And thank you guys, and we will touch base with you in the next few days. Thanks. Have a good week.